elegance, fashion, precision. Olympic Swiss Quartz, the watch for today's world. At your jeweler now.
Into a storm of protest on Auckland Harbour today. That story later in the Bulletin. Good evening. Today's move by the government to curb interest rates has led to speculation that housing finance could dry up. Regulations brought in today limit all first mortgage interest rates to 11% and all other mortgages to 14%. The rates will apply to all new mortgages and to existing mortgages as they come up for review.
And it was obvious to Cabinet, to me and to my advisors, that rates were not coming down as rapidly as they should, and that clearly a considerable number of lenders were waiting for the government to regulate. Many of them have said that publicly, and so we had no option.
To sum up then, first mortgages will be held to no more than 11%, second and subsequent mortgages to 14%. The restrictions relate to new mortgages on property and existing mortgages as they come up for review. The regulations apply from today and will remain in force for at least the next 12 months. Any breaches will be punishable by law. Few of the country's banking and financial institutions will comment publicly today, but privately the consensus of opinion in financial circles is that many groups will immediately try to get out of the mortgage market and into more lucrative areas of lending. Money that previously went into home finance will be channeled into uncontrolled lending like personal loans and other areas of relatively high return like the share market, which boomed today. The short-term effect could be to dry up sources of finance for home buyers. Property prices may be held, but getting the money to buy could also be a problem. Financiers also warn another big drawback from today's move could be black market mortgages, with buyers resorting to under-the-counter payments and even taking out several separate loans to get the amount they want. So the money market here in Wellington is certainly confused, but that seems to be a situation the Prime Minister's prepared to accept.
I believe there'll be a period of some confusion, obviously, because some of the institutions have been borrowing at rates that clearly were too high. But they've had about a year of warning over that, and they've had 3 months very specific warnings since the budget.
Law Society President Mr Bruce Slane doesn't like regulations, but he accepts that interest rates were not moving down as fast as the Prime Minister wanted.
Well, he's the one who has to decide what his objectives are and how he's going to achieve them. Why we didn't like the regulations was because we saw the anomalies and injustices that they will produce, and that they don't suit all the circumstances which go to make up the different types of loans that are secured by property mortgages.
Meanwhile, at Parliament this afternoon, the opposition forced a snap debate on the government's moves, with Labour's finance spokesman Mr Roger Douglas charging that interest rate controls would be easy to evade.
The worst feature is not that it's happening, because you would expect it to happen. It has to happen. The worst feature is that I say the Prime Minister, the government, the Cabinet, Treasury and Housing Corporation all know that this has been happening and have done nothing about it. And why? Because all they are concerned about is what appears on the surface. If the interest rate on the document says 14%, they don't really want to know anything about it if someone gets a little backhander.
And Social Credit's Mr Bruce Beetham says the regulations are an admission of failure by Mr Muldoon.
We can't accept that the management of monetary policy, which has given rise to the situation, has been anything other than terrible.
You're one of the people who challenged him to use the power of regulations. He's now done so. Where's the problem? What's wrong with that?
Well, it's a question of using them in a way that covers the whole of the problem. Just tackling interest rates, full stop, without dealing with, say, the money supply questions that are involved in interest rates, is to achieve very little.
It is